Okay, today is October the 23rd, 2020, and I'm reading on the death of Natalie Wood. And I want to know what happened because there's a lot of mystery about it. My personal idea is that from what I've known, and I have been curious and done reading before this question was ever brought up, as it was in the community tab request, but I think Robert and Natalie had a very hot cold relationship. And I think Robert was pretty typical of men of that era, and with the drinking, I don't think it did him any favors. And I think he was very territorial, very jealous of his wife. And jealous of her professionally. I think it would be hard not to be, especially if she's suddenly working and doing better. But you would think, I don't know, my way would be like, I'm happy for that person. But some people, I think Robert found it, to be honest, very emasculating and threatening. Despite the fact that I think he would have liked to have been able to feel good for her, I think that he found it difficult too. It's just a gut feeling I have. But let's look and see what the cards say. First of all, let's look at the death of Natalie. How did Natalie end up in the water? How did Natalie end up in that water? How did she end up outside of the cabin? How did she end up getting into the water? Was she by herself? Was there another person with her? How did Natalie Wood end up in the water? Okay, we have the Nine of Pentacles. We have the Ace of Swords. We have the Lovers. And we have sorrow. We have the Five of Cups. Loss. Remorse. How did she end up? I think she tried to do something independently on her own with that Nine of Pentacles, something physical. She had definitely made up her mind with that Ace of Swords. And she was upset about, I believe, her relationship with Robert. That there was a loss of harmony and how it was going. I have a feeling that they were going through a hard patch before. And I feel that when she got to work on this project, I think he was very envious. Here's Christopher Walken, a younger man whose star is on the rise, and his wife's star is rising back up. And where's Robert's? Robert strikes me as the type that may not be so generous to be able to say, it's good, it's good. The Tower. It happens very quickly. It's unexpected. I feel like I'm not really seeing another court card with her. I do feel like she was sorrowful and upset, but I do feel like she was out on her own. There was something outside, a determination that she made to do something independently. uh, the Six of Swords. Normally, this would be about going in a better direction or going from chaos to a better environment. Also needing help to, and I feel like this is her ending up in the water and suddenly needing help with the boat, and because the woman's in a boat here. The difference is in this picture of the woman in the boat, she's having assistance to get through, I believe, less than ideal water conditions, being choppy. And I think this also has to do with the outburst of the incident with her husband, and then I feel like actually she chooses, it looks like to me, herself, for whatever reason, to prove it that she can do it, or I'll show him. I'm not quite sure here. But there's definitely feeling hurt that the three of them, her and her husband and Christopher Walken, didn't end up having an enjoyable evening. She ended up back in a familiar pattern with Robert, behaving a certain way that made her feel bad. And for some reason, I feel like her state of mind is, I'll show him that I am capable of doing this on my own, independently. That I can make it on my own, I think, financially, creatively. I think he really upset her that evening. Really upset her. And she felt like he was trying to rain on her parade. Be sour over her positive development with her career. I believe that she was hopeful initially that she would be helped, but here we have the water, and here we have Natalie with, she shows up in the Queen of Cups position. I also feel the depression with that loss of the 5 above her. I feel it was demoralizing, that Robert had a way of demoralizing her. He was fine when they were together, but I feel like he put another person in the picture and he had to cut Natalie down or make Natalie seem like she was less capable. And I think, I feel like there was something like that going on. And that was, I think, his response to not feeling like he was doing interesting things, too. It was not expected. And what I'm really strongly getting from here is this was an accident. And she ends up in the water. Something may have hit her in the head as well. It occurs to me with the tower because it's something, it can be sometimes about being struck in the head, and that can be lethal. Or it can just mean that you're stunned, you're in shock, and she's in water. I think that she tried with the Nine of Wands to survive, put up a heck of a fight. And you get the nine, we go from the Nine of Pentacles of being confident and sure to tired and I gotta give it one last shot. And also, I think within the argument that she was having with Robert, she was very much having to stand up for her own boundaries and her own work and esteem and self. Look, there's the emperor, the husband, the father. I don't know, you guys. I feel like he may have hit her around about the head or something that evening. Because the Nine of Wands typically also shows somebody with like they've been through the wars. They've typically got a bandaged head. And with that tower and the crown being struck of the tower, I think he may have physically put hands on her and she wanted to leave. He may have, that may have been what upset her to the point that she wanted to get, and she felt like she would show him. But I'm going to continue here. Oh, poor Natalie. We get a lot of drink here with the Nine of Cups. And we get the Eight of Cups, 8 and 9. Abandonment. I think he went back in, and I think that he did know that she was out of where she should have, from where she should have been inside. I think that he did abandon her. Maybe he thought, just that he would hurt her that way. But I think of it more as a withdrawal of his attention and assurance. I think she depended on him a lot for assurance. But I don't think he was a very good source to get it from, because I do think he was very jealous and controlled her through building and then destroying esteem. That seesaw energy. She feels like he abandoned her, though. And I believe he had too much to drink. I'm seeing him with a very smug, I think that when Robert drank, he was not a nice person, to put it mildly. I think he was a dull guy when he drank, and a bore. And I think he was self-conscious of this. Now, I'm saying this is allegedly for entertainment purposes only. I'm not digging, tearing down Robert. I think that it's very tragic, but I do think that he knew that she was out there and he shouldn't have left her out there. I do think he carries that. I think he was just being petty and thought, F her, I'm going to bed because I've had a lot to drink and I'm tired and I'm mad. Yes, petty card. And he's been like stubborn and been that way. I think he is very hard man who expected everything his own way. And I see this pettiness having been a pattern that went on for a long time in their relationship. I think he could be very petty with her and take things out on her. Passive aggressive things like shutting her, leaving her locked outside of the boat cabin. And I think he did that. I do. So now I'm going to look. That's how she ended up in the water, in my opinion, was that I feel like Robert and her were at each other and he didn't like her newfound independence, was a bit emasculated by it. And I think by her and Walken both, I think it was a bit just, he was too delicate a man, ego-wise, to handle that. And I think he did a passive-aggressive pattern that was typical, from what I'm getting with the cards between the two of them, and where I'm thinking he shut the door and maybe she couldn't figure out how to get back in, or maybe he even locked it. I don't know. That feels really like a strong possibility to me of what happened. And I think her desperation, she tried, perhaps that's what motivated her to try to get into that smaller craft dinghy and ended up drowning. Because of, I get the water was choppy, or there was a condition that made it more difficult, and that his passive aggressiveness was, frankly, I believe, how come she passed, because why she was out there. I think he may have shut the door and locked it to try and teach her a lesson, kind of thing. And Walken may not have known that. He may or may not. So show me from Natalie's perspective, was Robert responsible, in her opinion, for what caused her death? For her ending up in the water? How does she feel about Robert and her death? How does Natalie truthfully feel? Well, there is the Wheel of Fortune. She sees how events led up to what happened. She sees the pattern again. And I feel like there is a karmic nature to their relationship. There is a secret about their relationship that is not as well known, that was not so transparent. There were secrets in that relationship. I feel that there were, I feel like there was flirtation going on, and maybe by both of them, especially around the drink. Drink drops your inhibition, and that's why a lot of people get so touchy-feely, and they're so happy, and they love everyone, and that sort of thing. Or sometimes they go to the other extreme of where they're more inclined to become promiscuous with somebody they may not know that well, because your inhibitions and your better sense is kind of inoperable, knocked out of gear. She gets a lot of sixes and an eights. Okay, so, well, this is a Six of Cups. Again, the past. And we're looking at past patterns, and she's looking at the children, her daughters. And I think she has some concerns with what they ended up seeing because of the problem with drink between Natalie and her husband. They were both having problems. So I am getting that she understands how that took place, but she also knows a secret about it that other people and the general public do not know. And it has to do with the Knight of Cups and the Eight of Wands. And this is a more forceful energy. And this could be, let me check Robert's. Okay, so her husband, Robert, is an Aquarius, but he has his moon is in Cancer, and she was a Cancer, but I believe her moon was in Taurus. He also has, I feel like this is with him, Robert Wagner. There was activity that people didn't know about between her and him. I think a lot of the violence, I think it was far more heated than what people may have understood. I think, they remarried, and I see, the children. But and they wanted to go in a better direction. But I feel like he was tearing her down. He tore her down a lot. I feel like he created doubt. And so then, interestingly enough, we get the Eight of Wands and the Eight of Pentacles. So what does she do? She boosts her skill level up. She goes to the next level. She becomes even more independent. And she seeks to regain, I believe, the esteem that he's stepped all over. I believe, unfortunately, Robert was a pretty toxic man to be married to. And I think he was very passive aggressive and capable of being also very just aggressive. Here we have strength, the card of strength and fortitude. The Lovers. Confinement with the Eight of Swords. Ooh, and the Three of Swords. She feels like there's definitely some betrayal there, heartbreak. Heartbreak. And again, I get her saying I was, just coming to my stride. I was just really reaching an interesting point of my career. So I do think that when and I feel like she thinks he betrayed her. He broke her heart. So that to me says, along with the card of the secret, that there's a little bit more that we don't know commonly to the story. And I think it's something along the lines like, he may have locked the door. Let's say she went out on the deck because she was mad. Or trying to get away from him if he was smacking her around. I think, I just don't wonder if he didn't do something like lock the door. Because I don't think that she would have gone to the effort to get into that boat had that door been open and had she been able to go back inside. I'm thinking that with the drink and the argument and the lack of clear thinking and being in a very emotional, hurt and upset state of mind, I believe that she chose to, that's why she chose to get into that boat. That's my bet, my feeling here. She was very hurt by what he did. She also may have gotten tangled in something. With that rope and that confinement of that 8. Feels like some kind of constraint. And if he locked her out, let's just say as theory, then he's confined her space of where she can be. I just feel like she couldn't reach somehow to help herself. There was not a lot she could do once she got in trouble out on the water. Okay, 2 more cards. But this to me is the transition. And look, it's very strange. We get a woman in the water. I feel like she received a welcome, that somebody greeted her, that she had family, friends, with that 10 of cups. I was lighting my incense, still holding it. But that really is wild. And 10 of cups, the water. 3 of cups, water. I can't help it, I gotta see more. The delay, I think, to find her, maybe initially, and then finding it, the tower. It was sudden, and I do not believe. And to me, the hangman also, it makes me feel like the suspended state of being in the water. I don't think that, I think it happened quite quickly. I feel like there's something went wrong with the boat, or that she got tangled up in something, and I'm not sure, but I just feel like once a certain, she just wasn't able to help herself with that 8 of swords, and she was just kind of stuck. But I see her transitioning over. I feel like that is a warm reception of family and loved ones. That, I believe, was the delay initially to find her, and then when they did, it was... There's pettiness is what caused her death. Pettiness. So, to me, again, if that door had been open, I think she would have gone back in. I have to think that, did he lock that door? Did he lock her out? Because that's what it feels like. And therein is responsibility. It shows up. This pettiness and this, I'm going to get you back. Well, yeah, you got her back, okay, she's dead. Are you happy now? You play these stupid games. I think he's very childish and petty, very vengeful. And I think it cost her her life. And I don't think she was happy about it, because she was starting to get her career going back again. But she sees how it happened. Two more. Let's just see. There is sorrow and grief about her daughters. And also, I think, a nod to mood swings. The hot and cold relationship type of thing. He could be mean-spirited. Because I think he was dreadfully insecure. And I think he's been very watchful and careful to make sure that, and this is all alleged for entertainment purposes only, to make sure that he is free to come and go, that information I just feel like he's always mindful that he's close, he could get caught, he could get in trouble. He's come very close, I think, if you want to know the truth. The Four of Swords and the Hermit. This, to me, is his withdrawal. I think he was legitimately depressed. I don't think he intended to do it, but I think they just had this toxic pattern of behavior, and it ended up causing her death. I think he couldn't get out of bed. I think he was legitimately depressed and withdrew. It shows withdrawing and, to me, depression. So I think she's letting us know that he did get depressed, and I feel like he missed her. I think the fact that, again, I'm being shown fame, and I'm shown it not just you're famous, but overflowing. And this is somebody who had so much talent. I think that Natalie had a lot of innate talent, and I think Robert may have found it a bit threatening, frankly, at the time. And rather than encourage her, I think he may have sent mixed signals. And I think, unfortunately, he could swing where he would heap praise, and then he could swing where he would just tear her down. I'm getting a sense of that with the cards that I got. Yeah, a lot of pressure. And volatility. I think he was a very angry man. He has a lot of fire for an Aquarius. Here. He also has cards of a lot of earth and water cards, but in some temperament, short-tempered. Just, you and intense. He has an intensity. And I feel like he really felt threatened by her having this work and not having as much, or maybe as big of a deal for himself. But what I'm shown here is interesting. The Eight of Wands, the Knight of Cups, the Wheel of Fortune, and the High Priestess. This to me is an action. That I feel like he took towards her. And again, I think it has to do with the fact that he somehow made it so that I don't think she could get back into the cabin by herself. And I'm feeling like there might come out maybe after his death or towards the end of his life. Yeah. That this was meant to have been to celebrate the project and the success of it, and instead of being a really good time, it ended up being a very heartbreaking time, that a cause of great pain and suffering. Okay. So that's what I think happened to Natalie. And if you appreciated this reading, please give a thumbs up, subscribe, and hit the notification. Thank you so much, and I'll see you in the next video.